turning 40 is always something of a milestone in anyone's life, and particularly in Prince Harry's. He has, of course, since he was 30, he has got married and he has two children. So he's quite along the path of life, if I can put it like that. But of course, at the same time, I think it is a moment for reflection, and it's rather interesting that he's decided to set off with his friends, have a bit of a celebration. There's a little hint of the old Harry coming out again by the sound of it, because that's what he always used to like to do in the past. And I'm particularly interested that he's been, as it were, allowed to do this by his wife, because normally he seems to rather sort of toe the official line, or the family line, or however you want to put it. I think we've been told, in fact, that they're going to have some sort of celebration, at home with the family. I do think it's very interesting that he's heading off on his own with his friends, and I don't think we quite know who these friends are, where they're coming from, and how they've suddenly materialized, because there's been a lot of evidence in the past that Meghan has rather isolated him from his friends. They find it quite hard to get through to him these days. So I think that's a complication. But no, inevitably one has to see it as a sort of tiny hint of rebellion, or a sort of bid for a little bit of freedom, or maybe she's right behind him in this and thinks it's the best thing that could happen for him, and he needs a bit of time and space on his own, and he should go off and have a bit of fun and come back again and resume his duties. It's very difficult to know what's going on in Prince Harry's mind at the moment. Personally, I think he looks rather unhappy and a bit fed up. He must wonder what the future holds, because he's gone into a very, very sort of different world from the one that he was brought up in which sort of everything was arranged for him. He was, as it were, working for the United Kingdom, for the Commonwealth, working for other people as opposed to working for himself. And some of the ventures that they've undertaken have not been very successful. And he also has a very expensive lifestyle. So he must be wondering, how this is going to pan out in the future. I don't really see him wishing to return to Britain and things like royal duties and so forth. I think he's still quite angry about a number of issues. But on the other hand, you could forgive him for wondering whether there wasn't more to life than living out in Montecito, and albeit with his two kids and his wife, and where it's all going to go in the future. It must be a moment for reflection. It's quite difficult for him, I think.